Hey everybody, Edward Farmer. I want to focus on pricing, especially for first-time sellers that have never done this before and have some questions. Pricing is so important and there's so much to talk about. I'm just going to see how fast I can go through this for you sellers and specifically first-time sellers. When you sit down with a realtor, you're going to really focus on past sales and current sales and what's going on in the market that we're in now, where buyers kind of have some leverage. It's kind of a buyer's market. You want to put more emphasis with your price on what has sold and what is pending. And if you're looking at something that is not closed, pay attention to the days on the market. And if you're looking at solds, specifically look at the days on the market for those as well. The shorter amount of days typically will be a higher price. So price is important. You'll get a higher price sooner out of the chute listed than you will later. You don't want a stigma, right? You don't want people to come into an open house. You don't want people to drive by, or you don't want a neighbor referring your house to somebody saying, well, you know, they've been out there for a long time. I don't know what's wrong with it, but you ought to consider it. What you'd like for that neighbor in this scenario to say is telling a friend, hey, hurry up. There's one in my neighborhood. It just went on the market. In psychology, we tend to like what others like, and we tend to like what we can't get, right? So the urgency, the takeaway, is very important. And as a listing agent, I'm trying to add that to the process. When I'm working with buyers, I try and diminish that and take that out. But as a listing agent, I'm trying to fuel that. And I need help with the pricing. What a seller doesn't want is a realtor that will not be able to have those tough conversations and talk about pricing and maybe suggest that the seller, the owner, is expecting too much. It's a tough conversation to have, but you do want a realtor that can have it. And another tough conversation is a price adjustment, a correction, lowering the price. It is one of the top most uncomfortable things in my business, is telling somebody that they should now be expecting less money. Somebody's got their sights set on what they can do with the sale. They've got a price in mind. And when I come to them and say, we're looking at a lower price, it's tough. But you do want a realtor that can handle those conversations. Otherwise, somebody might try and buy that listing. That's no good. They'll come in and they'll accept your price as an owner, that what you want, and they might even add to it just so they can quickly get the business, so to speak. But what's going to happen is their approach is to wear you down. You don't want that. I'm going to put some things up on the screen. Let's talk about them for some visuals. You see selling price versus timing. On the left-hand side, you have the number of showings or the activity. You will get a higher activity in the first, few weeks than you will going later, because in the first few weeks you've got people on the sidelines waiting for that right home. And if in the first few days they don't show up, maybe they're traveling or their heads focused at work, they've got something going on, but eventually the people on the sidelines will come to your house, and then that will diminish, and you can see that starting to diminish 3 and 4 weeks in. We don't tend to have people, our chances of having someone return at a better price is not high. Our percentages of someone returning just because we lowered the price, not a high expectation there. The importance of intelligent pricing is another graph. I'm not saying you want to be at the bottom, but I'm not suggesting you be at the top. Now, if you are a turnkey, you have a highly desirable location. You have taken the utmost care and have spent quite a bit in upgrades and maintained that house to the nth degree, then there's a chance you're going to be at the top. There's a lot that goes into being in that top tier. Just wanting it is not good enough. And I'm here to give you another handout. Buyers always determine the value. You can see common pricing errors. It's not about what a seller paid for the house. It's not about what you need or want. It's not about what your neighbor says. Neighbors sometimes too kind and won't be forthcoming in what they really think. Markets do change. So if you know of a neighbor that sold in a different market, and also for the house that sold in your neighborhood at a very high price, what if they put, $20, $50, $100,000 into their home and you don't realize it, but they only got a percentage of that back? It doesn't matter what another realtor says you should sell for. If you've chosen a realtor, y'all are on the market, and this is what you're getting, the market is speaking. And it's not exactly what it costs to rebuild it. I'd like to move on to another idea that it could be an appraisal issue could pop up. When you're pricing the house, be considerate of what that third-party appraisal is going to do when you're 2-3 weeks into the transaction. And so the appraisal is a factor. Let's move into some pretty good handouts here on the screen. It starts off with kind of highlighting what I'm referencing. It's a tale of two markets. And the bottom left-hand bottom corner, it's what is selling is in the market. Then we're talking about homes that sit on the market, what are out of the market. The next one is a good example of the buyer's market that we're in right now at the end of the year 2024, going into 2025. Buyer's markets are where fewer homes are selling, bottom left-hand, and more are sitting on the market. They're out of the price range, out of the market. The next one would be an example of a market we're not in right now, but a market that we have seen, the seller's market. You can see that in the market, the properties and homes that sell are bigger. Bigger portions of the market move. That demand is high. Demand is everything. And you can see very few are out of the market. So, good summary there. When you are pricing, the final look, be in the market. Don't be in the no man's land, and definitely don't be out of the market. If you want to be aggressive, you can be. Just don't stay there long. Look at the number of showings. Look at the number of days. Have a plan with your realtor ahead of time, and don't get that stigma of, I don't know what's wrong with the house. There's nothing wrong with a house when it's sitting at 100 days. Maybe it's just been priced too high. And when I do have buyers that look at homes that are 100 days and they're asking what's wrong with it, I'll sometimes, most of the time, check with price corrections. And sure enough, I can explain to a buyer, they've had 4 corrections, all within the last 50 of those 100 days. They just started too high and they stayed at a too high of a price for too long. Hope this helps. More to come.